There's a particular village in Okinawa called Ogami Village that has the highest amount of centenarians. So it wasn't actually Okinawa itself, it was this village.
Oh.
Okay, and a lot of people don't know that. And I think that's important to mention because what most people don't know about Okinawa too is it has a lot of American military bases there. So as a result, a lot of influence in American culture has taken place in Okinawa as well too.
Got it.
So now you're starting to see some of the fast food restaurants become popular. But on the northern part of the island, in Ogami Village, you don't see that. You have people who are living the way they lived 50, 60 years ago. And so I take an opportunity to go to one of the military libraries, and I'm looking at what they were eating 50, 60 years ago after the war happened. They had the highest amount of centenarians then as well, too. So it wasn't a new thing. And so at that point, it was like, all right, so let me go to the village and see what they're doing. And I go there and I see people who are 90, 92, 105, still walking, still gardening, you know, walking up hills, riding bikes, having fluid conversations. And as you know, here in America, when somebody's 80, at that point, they probably had dementia.
They're in a wheelchair.
Exactly. And so to see people who are strong, who are like, I saw an 86-year-old man climbing a tree.
Wow.
And so, like, to see that for myself, I'm like, okay, so this is how you're supposed to be when you live a good life. And so watching their diet, and I'm seeing what they're eating, and I'm realizing that somewhere around 90 to 95% of their diets is plants. And then a small percentage, 5 to 10%, is a little bit of fish, and then sometimes a little bit of pork. But they use the meat for flavoring. They don't use it primarily for the meat as protein.
Right. Like
they're flavoring their vegetables.
Yeah.
And so, you know, watching their lifestyles, including herbs in their diets, including things like mugwort, turmeric, including principles and philosophies that are also helpful as well too, like hara hachibu, which means eat only to 80%, which is scientifically proven because when you get to like 80% full, your brain has a 20% lag time. So it doesn't even know that it's full yet because there's a lag time between the brain and the gut.
Wow.
So when you get to 80%, guess what? You're already full.
That's interesting.
And then when you eat to full, you're full.
Yeah.
So like learning those type of principles, learning things like how they interact in communities, how they'll have somebody who's 80 years old who is considered young in the village paired up with somebody who's 98 years old.
Wow.
And they would be responsible for each other.
Interesting.
You know, so it was just a beautiful opportunity to see what we look like, our ancestors look like maybe 100 years ago, not only in Okinawa and the other four blue zones, but traditionally speaking, that's how it looked because you go back maybe 60 years ago, you go into a store because there were no supermarkets and there's no organic section because everything is organic. You see what I'm saying?
Farmer's market, right?
Yeah, I mean, farmer's market directly to the farmer. You know, like the way we're eating today is totally different from the way our great-grandmother ate, our great-grandfather ate. And so a lot of times what happens is people will say, well, my granddaddy smoked a pack of cigarettes. Well, for about 40 years, he ate nothing but organic food, no GMO. GMO didn't come into place until the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know, didn't have to worry about all these pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. Didn't have to worry about EMF coming from computers, TV, cell phones. A lot of things that have happened in the last 30 years have shifted everything.
Yeah, the lifespan's dropping pretty rapidly, actually.
And not only lifespan, but quality of life.
Right.
Because people can live to 80, but the last 20 years of their life, they may be in a home. They got dementia. They got type 1 diabetes. They lose an arm, a limb, etc. So yeah, people are living to 80, but like the quality of life years are diminishing like greatly.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
Are you still primarily vegetarian?
Well, I'm vegan.
Okay.
And so I use air quotes because the unfortunate thing is I think the vegan movement has been hijacked. And a large percentage of the foods that people who are vegan are eating are vegan junk foods. They're not eating plants. And a lot of that is because of the vegan movement itself was really a movement based on, the protection of animals.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily for health. That wasn't the basis of the movement. And so as a result of that, there's no emphasis on health. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily, so am I technically vegan? Yes, but I eat plants.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really important because at the end of the day, what I've learned is the most important thing is to eat real food. It's not a matter of what label you want to put on yourself. It's, are you eating real food that is free of food chemicals, that is free of pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, that has been picked properly, harvested properly, and grown properly.
Yeah. So you don't shop at grocery stores.
I wouldn't say I don't shop at grocery stores, but when I do, everything, there's only a few things that I'm very particular about getting.
Got it.
Because I own a farm.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I own a tropical fruit farm, and of course I grow my own vegetables on there as well too.
Nice.
So, like a large percentage of my food and fruit is coming from my farm.
That's how it should be, right? Everyone should have their own little community and have a farmer in there.
That's how it was. Like even before the Second World War, most people had what were called gardens or victory gardens. That was a big thing during World War II. And what happened was during World War II was where all of the processed food, this is where processed foods began, because they were creating what are called MREs for the soldiers, food that could last a long period of time on the battlefield. Because in World War I, what they learned was most soldiers died due to famine.
Wow.
A lack of food, a lack of nutrition. Something like a B vitamin deficiency could cause a condition like pellagra, where somebody literally could go crazy. And so a lot of times what they learned through that process was that, all right, so we got to figure out how to create some food that could be packaged, that could last for a long time. And that's how processed foods were created. And what happened was the technology was then given to the public. And this was where fast food became the fast food that we know today.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why for me, when I go into the grocery store, if I buy anything, it's going to be organic. So if I, let's say for instance, I'm short on ginger root. So I go get my ginger root, making sure it's organic. Okay. Maybe I go there because, I actually get my water delivered to me. So I wouldn't go there for water. Maybe I want to make a green juice or something, but everything I'm getting is going to be organic.
Got it.
If it's not from there, I'm going to the farmer's market. So I would say 80% of the time I'm at the farmer's market because everything I'm making is from whole ingredients.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's quinoa. It's fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds.
That's awesome. Any supplements or medications you're taking?
Well, no medications. Supplements. My supplements are going to be herbal. So I'll give you for instance. Because I travel so much, and most people don't understand how much radiation you're getting when you're on the plane,
right?
It's really important that you do things to sort of break even on that. And so for me, I'm making sure I always have some sea moss with me, some sea moss gel.
Okay. That helps with the radiation?
Well, it's not the radiation that's very important, it's gut health. So with radiation, I'm doing things like medicinal mushrooms. That's the most important thing when it comes to something like that. So medicinal mushrooms like reishi, like turkey tail, like lion's mane, those type of things.
Yeah, I heard even the machines you walk through and put your arms like this is terrible for you at the airport.
Yeah, so, I'm just trying to, I'm always doing things to make sure like I'm offsetting things that because I live in the modern world, they're just unavoidable.
Yeah.
I use a cell phone. I get on the plane. I got to breathe the same air that you breathe.
Yeah.
Like I have a filter that filters my whole house in terms of the water. But again, it's filtered water. It doesn't get everything. It gets maybe 95% of things. It gets a large percentage of the chloride, a large percentage of the chloramine, some of the heavy metals out, but it doesn't get everything.
Right.
So for me, when I'm supplementing based upon what my needs are. But most of those supplements are going to be in the form of some type of herb or some type of superfood.
That water filter was a game changer for me, man.
Yep.
I just got one last week, and my showers feel way better.
Yeah. And that dry skin goes away. I was telling people, we don't understand how polluted our water is here today either. There's chlorine in there. There's chloramine in there. There's heavy metals in there. We know that because of what happened in Flint, Michigan. You know, there's pharmaceuticals in there as well too. They find a large percentage of birth control in the municipal water as well too. So I think a lot of people are just unaware of how poison our food system is here in the U.S. Like it's poison from the top down. You know.
Yeah, people be drinking tap water at restaurants. I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, and again, it's just about what's public knowledge, and I think it's also about people are under the impression that there are agencies that are designed to protect us, and people are under the impression that they're actually doing their best job to protect us.